Hey everybody, it's Brian back with the games I beat for January and February of 2024. Let's get started with some N64 goodness. I know everybody loves the N64, and I do too, but I haven't played it in a while, and we'll start off with, and I just felt like the beginning of the year, N64, hey, let's play some N64. So we started off with a 3D platformer. This is Bomberman Hero. You see Bomberman in his latest adventure yet. There he is right there. You got a little space station there with another little Bomberman guy. Only for N64 where they pretended to rip the corner of the, where's it at? Of the box there. You see it's designed for N64 Rumble Pack or the control pack to save. You can switch in and out. I believe when you save, you take out the Rumble Pack, put in the control pack. A lot of games did that. They let you do that to like keep the Rumble Pack and the save pack. So here on the back of the box, you see the screens of the game. This was the second Bomberman game on 64. I think the first one was Bomberman 64, and I believe that one was more of a traditional Bomberman game in 3D. This one is more of an adventure. You have different planets you go to. I think there's 5, and each one has like 3 or 4 parts. You throw your bombs in an arc. There's lots of little enemies around that you got to time your... There's no lock-on, so you kind of just have to spam it. The controls are decent. You can increase your life by getting certain things, but if you die and using continue, which you have unlimited continues, your life goes back down to the default, which makes the game harder. I will say the vehicle sections in this game, there's like 3 vehicle sections. There's like a hover tank kind of Bomberman part, and there's like an underwater sub. They're very hard, and there's some parts in the tank one where there's stuff falling from the sky that you got to avoid and shooting missiles, and it's very difficult. So it says travel through worlds of ice, fire, and water. Use new abilities and get help from friends like Louie the Rabbit. You jump on Louie, like he's like a DKC like animal buddy. And Pibbot the robot. New vehicles like Bombercopter, which I talked about, and Bomber Marine, which I talked about, will come in handy in your quest to save Princess and free the universe once again. So during each every other stages, you fight this boss. He's another Bomberman clone. And each time he gets harder. He tosses bombs at you and rolls bombs at you too. And then you face the final boss, which I forget who he is. 5 worlds over 60 levels. Save your progress to 1 of 4 save files. So this has to have a save file. I thought I used the expansion pack or the save pack. I guess it does not. Use special items like Bombercopter, Bomber Jet, Bomber Slider, Bomber Marine during your quest, compatible with Rumble Pack. This came out in, I believe, is there a date on here? 1998, so about 2 years in, 96, 97, 98, and 2 years into the N64's life. Hudson Soft, so this is probably the best Bomberman game I've played. I haven't played much Bomberman. I played a little bit of the NES one, a little bit of Super Bomberman, not much. This is a platformer game, pretty fun. I don't remember, it was really early in the year, but I remember it being decent, although the controls were kind of wonky. Go through the worlds, beat the bosses, rescue a princess, kind of wonky controls like the early 3D platformers. Music on this game was outstanding. The highlight of the game was the music. It's very, very, very good. Very good soundtrack, unlike anything you really hear nowadays. So I would say recommend the soundtrack for this game. As to ways to play it, I don't know if you can play it any other way other than a cartridge or emulation. And if the cartridge is over $20, I don't think, unless you really want a 3D platformer, I don't know if this is quite worth it. But it's good. It's a pretty middle of the road, average 7 out of 10 game. It's fun. I was glad I played it, and really good music. I wish I could remember more details about the worlds and stuff. Maybe I should... It might be better if I just, as soon as I finish a game, take notes down so I can talk more freely about it. and after 2 months, because I forget like all this stuff. Next, I wanted to play more 3D platformers, and I felt like that. Like the N64 has some I haven't played, and this was one of them. This is Rayman 2: The Great Escape by Ubisoft. Very well ported game of Rayman 2. This was the original, developed for, I think, the N64 or the, I forget which one was first. It might be the N64 was the main development cycle, and then it was ported to Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, eventually DS, 3DS. This is a 3D platform. You play as Rayman. Glowbox, your friend, big-jawed friend, gets kidnapped by pirates. You have to save him, and you save all the little teensy guys from cages. You do upgrade your life and stuff by getting so many of the guys in cages. The first ability you get is to shoot your hands to attack. You have a lock-on with holding, I think, the R button, or it might be another button to lock on to the enemy to attack. You get like a copter twirl, and each other level you get like another ability. You get like a double jump. This is okay. It's funny talking about this game and another game, which I don't know if I have. Did I beat this other game? I'm thinking now. But talk about this in another game. I think this one I enjoyed probably a little bit more than the other one, which I'll talk about. Or maybe I didn't beat it. Let me see. Did I? I don't know if I beat this other game I'm talking about. Sorry about this. Okay, I did beat that. The one I'm talking about is Super Mario 64, and I didn't put it down because I beat it before, but I did also beat Super Mario 64 this month. And I like that game, but it really dragged on near the end. And this one did too, but I think this one is a little bit more, because I played Super Mario 64 before, I had a little bit more fun with this one. I would say Super Mario 64 is probably the better game, but this one was pretty decent. There's a pirate theme to it. There's like these pirates that attack you and you gotta run away from. What else? The music was kind of there. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. The graphics were pretty good. I thought they were really good. It used the expansion pack. You could have a low-res mode, high-res mode, medium mode. It didn't really affect the frame rate too much. The vehicle sections where Rayman turns into like he rides a little, like, I don't know if it's a firefly or something, and he zooms around. They were kind of hard to like get the controls down, if I recall. I really had to do some of those parts over again because you're rushing through and there's all this stuff coming at you, and it's kind of hard to get the controls because some of them you have to, like, there's this bouncing fruit you jump on and it's really hard to control because you're just constantly bouncing. And the end boss really took me a long time, the last boss, because you had to ride like a jet fly or something, and you had to like spin around this, like, flip upside down. It was really hard. I played this before on 3DS because it was ported to 3DS, but I never beat it. So I'm glad to beat it. I don't know if my memory of 3D platformers is really being better than I'm having with these games again. Like Mario 64 I enjoyed, but not as much as I remember. This game I enjoyed, but not as much as I thought I would. I don't know if 3D platformers just whizzed me by, or it's because I haven't played so many that it took me a while to get used to, and I just couldn't click with them like I did when I was younger, or it's just that these games got a little rougher. But I think this game's good. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's just the middle of the road, like Bomberman 64. But I know people love this game, and I'm glad to have played it. If you're looking for a 3D platform between this and Bomberman, and you haven't played either, I'd probably play Bomberman just for the music, but this one is up there in the gameplay, I think. And other than the other Rayman games I played, Origins and Legends, I really like those games. This one was not nearly that good, but that's to be understandable. That's much later. But for a 3D platformer, this is pretty good. If you want a 3D platformer on 64, or this is well ported, I think it's even on PC now. It's pretty good, and it comes in a cool green cartridge. I don't know other ways to play it. You can emulate it or play it any way you can, or play it on Dreamcast, or if you have a Dreamcast or DS or 3DS, PS2, which I heard is a different version. I wish I wish I could remember specifics about power-ups. I'm just going by the top of my head. It's a 3D platformer, early 3D platformer, and has some problems with camera. Not as much. The camera's a little better than Mario 64 in this one, though. So, next up. Now, this is a weird one. This was a little story for this game. Okay, picture this. It's 2000. I'm in my first internship in college. We had to do internships. My first job ever. It was a paid internship. I worked for an architectural firm. And I got my first paycheck, and I was amazed because I was making $10 an hour. I thought that was so much money. $10 an hour, like I'm rich. And with my first paycheck, I had an N64 in the dorm, and with my first paycheck, I bought Donkey Kong 64. So this is a 3D platformer because I felt like playing 3D platforms, and the reason I played this one. People always say it's very long. Yes, it is. And it takes a long time to beat. And it took me, from when I got this game in 2000, in my last year of college, till last January or February when I beat this, to finally beat it. I loaded up the save file from college the last time I played it. I was at the last boss, King K. Rool, and I went through and I beat him, and I finally got credits, beat the game, 94% completion after 23 years of having this game. So that's a big difference. That's when I was like 20 till when I was like 44, so that's a big difference. The save file was still there. I had to I looked up on how to play again, like where I need to go to get to the final boss, but I did beat him. Donkey Kong 64. Now to talk about the game, this is a rare developed platformer for 64. After Banjo-Kazooie, might have been after Banjo-Tooie. I think it might have been. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was. Don't hold me to that. So basically you have Kongs that you can play as and switch to in a barrel. You have Donkey Kong, he's the Diddy Kong, Tiny Kong, Chunky Kong, and Lanky Kong. So Tiny Kong's a girl with pigtails. She's really small. She twirls around like Dixie. Chunky Kong's the big brute that punches. Lanky Kong has long arms and stretches like Dalsim. Donkey Kong's the overall Kong. He's pretty good. Nimble, kicks with his feet, punches. Diddy Kong's the cool 90s monkey with pop guns, like peanut butter shooters, or peanut shooters. They each have different movesets. They each have different weapons. They each have lots of collectibles. Each one can collect a certain amount of bananas that are color-coded to them, and each level has tons of them. So you will be running through the level and you'll see red bananas, and you can't get those without switching to a certain Kong. So you constantly have to be switching. There's different tokens to get. To actually beat the game, you have to get a rare coin in an arcade of Jetpack and a DK coin in the arcade of Donkey Kong to actually access the final level, I believe. And if you don't do that, then you can't beat the game. Luckily, I had that. I wouldn't have remembered. I was wondering what that was. I'd look it up and see what that was about. It's very, it's weird because I can't say how good or bad this is other than the few hours I played beating it, like an hour or two beating it, because it was just that time since I was 20 playing it again. But going from my memory, there was just a lot to this game. I remember in my dorm playing it and just being overwhelmed by everything there was, and going back and collecting everything, doing mini games. There was a ton of mini games you do. The graphics were very nice. It controlled well. Uh, it has a great, like, pretty decent soundtrack. The Donkey Kong rap at the beginning I remember and liked a lot. I just thought there was too much to it. So collecting all that stuff, luckily you don't have to do everything except for the DK coins and rare coins to beat the game. There was just too much to it. The last boss fight was kind of cool. Each one used like a different Kong. You fought K. Rool in a boxing match. Crusher K. Rool is his name. And each Kong had a turn at him, and he had to figure out what to do to beat him. And overall, I think it's good. I wouldn't 100% it, but again, I think I have a soft spot for this because this was the first video game I ever bought with my own money. And it was a time in my life, a big change in my life, getting out of college and playing in a dorm on a little TV. The dorm was in a hotel room that was converted to dormitories, so I don't know if you probably don't, people who remember are old enough. Hotel rooms used to have these CRT TVs on these tripods that held them up, and our dorm had a CRT TV, like a 19-inch on the pedestal, and I used to like just play in front of that a lot. So this game, I'm glad. I've been wanting to finish this one because it's stuck with me all those years, and I finally did it. And I do like this game, besides its problems. Don't 100% it, but it's fun to run around in. It also has the expansion pack that came with the game. So the reason it was bundled with the game was there was a bug in development they could not fix unless they added the extra memory for the expansion pack. So Nintendo said probably, well, you don't have time to fix it, we gotta get it out, we'll just bundle the expansion pack with it. So expansion pack included. So N64 pack, expansion pack, Rumble pack, and 4 players, has some battle modes and stuff. And there you see, that's Donkey Kong 64 for the N64, a game I needed to beat and I finally beat 23 years in the making, 24 years in the making. So that's cool. At least I think it's cool. I was happy to do that. That was a good feeling. Oh, here's a good one. This game is probably, out of the N64 games, there's 2 that I beat. There's 2 that really stuck with me, and this was one of them. This is Mischief Makers on the N64, and this was developed by Treasure, a very, very good Sega-based, usually Sega developer, that came out of Konami, and they developed a lot of Sega games. They did, the first game was McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure, then they did Gunstar Heroes to really get them going. They did Dynamite Headdy, they did Alien Soldier, they did, and then after that they did some stuff on 64, Sin and Punishment Star Successor on the Wii. This was one of their N64 game they did, Mischief Makers. It's a 2D platformer on the 64 when 2D games were not very popular. You play as, I think her name's Marina Lightyear. She is a robot cleaner from a perverted old man, think Master Roshi, and he's always trying to grope her, so she always throws him, and there's always a cutscene where she throws him. He gets kidnapped like 4 times in the game, and you have to save her. So the main mechanic of this game is you grab anything and you shake, and you can shake by hitting the down button. One of the buttons on a controller shakes, and she goes shake, shake, and she shakes coins and stuff, or something will change. It'll enable platforms. So there's a jump, and then you use the control pad instead of the control stick. You can jump, and then if you double tap forward or backwards, you'll dash. Double tap up, you'll dash up, or down, and one of the buttons you'll slide. And you can also have the dashes are mapped to the triangle button, the C button. So you can dash with those while you jump, hit up to dash up, C left to dash left, C right to dash right. This game, like all Treasure games, it's about gameplay first. And until you get that gameplay in your head, the game doesn't really click. What I mean is, the opening stages are very tutorial heavy. The first 6, 7, even the first world is very tutorial heavy. And it's to teach you those mechanics. Now, when I tried to play this game before, I never picked up on it. I quit after 2 stages, and I didn't learn the mechanics. I put it down thinking, I don't know this game. This time I gave it a good shot, went through the first world, and it just clicked with me. You have to always dash with the C buttons, move around, shake everything, and it's cool because you can grab stuff and like shoot yourself up like a rubber band by using the different directions on the control pad and the C buttons too. And so you want to shoot up, and then you can grab something else, and you kind of magnetically grab them, and you can like toss yourself all around. It's kind of cool. You can grab platforms, shake them, and they drop, and then they spin you around, and you have to shake them again to go in to avoid fireballs. And there's all kinds of things like that. You do get weapons from people for shaking, and then you can use the gun and stuff and shoot guys. It's very, very gameplay based, much like all of Treasure's games. And until you get that gameplay down, you're gonna not like it. But I would say stick with if you're gonna play this game, I would say stick past the first world, and it'll probably click with you. And it gets much better once you understand the controls, and the game really picks up. Unlimited continues, so you only stop when you want to. So the ending in this game, I'm gonna say, if you don't want to hear the ending, you can skip ahead. But when you go through, you get these gold gems, and each stage has a few that are secret, and each gold gem you get unlocks more time for the ending. So to get the best ending, you have to get all the gold gems. I think I got quite a bit of the endings, but I missed all of it. So I watched it on YouTube to see what it was. You're not missing much if you just go through the game and get as many gold gems as you can, and then watch the ending on YouTube. It's about the gameplay. I don't think the ending's kind of cool, but it's not like super great. I mean, it's more incentive for back in the day to see replay value, to play the game and see what happened to Marina Lightyear and her doctor friend and all that stuff. And it is kind of cool to just see it's kind of cool how they put that, like getting the gems in tied with the ending to see what's going on. It's very gameplay, like I said, and the ending's kind of neat to how they worked it in for gameplay. That's Mischief Makers, a really fun game. I do like this one. I don't think I'll ever get all the gems, but it's kind of cool. I will say Treasure games are hit or miss. I didn't think I liked Treasure games, and until I've played like a few of them, and I figured, they want you to give it more time and catch those gameplay loops that they have. They're built around the gameplay loops, and if you get it and it clicks with you, then it becomes very addicting. Very, very much so. So next up, okay. So 3D platformers, kind of a 3D platform, more of an adventure game. I wanted to play this again. The first time I played it was I borrowed from my friend's copy. He had it as a kid when we were still kids in high school, and I borrowed it from him. I didn't have it. The last time I played it was the 3DS version of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, the classic N64 adventure game, first 3D Zelda game, and there's not much to say about this game. Everybody knows about it. Very well done for the time, I will say, for the time. Playing it again was on the 64 was a real eye opener. The Hyrule Field was a lot seemed more monotonous and empty than I remember, and that's not a bad thing, because I remember it being a lot more broader as a kid, and I don't remember when I played it on the 3DS feeling that way. And I think maybe it's just because I played other Zelda games. No, I would have played other Zelda games on the 3DS too. I think other Zelda games have done the traversal between the fields better and than this game does, because this game is really just like segmented parts linked by a big open kind of empty area with an area in the middle. And you kind of just have to traverse through this place to get to your areas you want. I will say the overworld and stuff in the game was not my favorite, but the dungeons were still top grade, very good. I struggled on a water temple a lot more this time than I remember. But the whole dungeons were the thing that kept this game going for me, because the parts in between the dungeons were not as great as I remember. They weren't bad. They were just, you could see how other Zelda games have improved upon it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's still very good. It's just the improvement has, you can see it in Twilight Princess, you can see it in you know, what other 3D, like all like Twilight Princess, eventually you can see the improvements because it's like a direct follow-up almost to this one. But I would say the dungeons stick with me. I don't like the kid part that much in this game, the 3 dungeons you do there. I think the game really picks up when you become adult Link, and that's a few hours in. The game starts off kind of slow in Kakariko, walking around, doing the tutorial, getting the shield and sword, and going into meet the Deku Tree. I'm very glad I played this again because my memories of the 64 version were all just that time sitting in my room, borrowing it from my friend, trying to beat it. And they're so mashed together with that and the 3DS version that my last memories of the game were the 3DS version, and I remember really, really liking that 3DS version. And this time I really liked it, but there was just something about it that, not the dungeons, I really loved them, but there was something in between that really kept me like, I don't remember that part in my head, the overworld being as, not as great as I remember. Not complaining, because it's still fun. Still fun to play today. Still holds up pretty well. And I do like it a lot. Oh, this game. This game, speaking of Ocarina of Time, this is much like that kind of... Similar to this Ocarina of Time in the fact that there's dungeons you go to, get items and upgrades, and a big world to explore. This world was done a little bit more better, and the world was big and interconnecting, and maybe better is not the word. It seemed like there was more, how can I put this? It seemed like there was more complexness to it, which is kind of bad, but also kind of amazing for the time. So I think this game that I'm talking about is Shadow Man for the N64. This game is basically, you start out and you're like a voodoo guy who gets a curse, and he has to be taken into the Shadow Realm where he has all these powers. And you start off and you go in to meet this snake guy, and you go into the Shadow Realm, Dark Side, and you have to collect these little Dark Souls, they're called. And when you absorb enough, they open gate keys that they increase your power on a little HUD up to 9 times. And when you have 2, you get so many, you get another one, you get another one. When you have 2, you can open a gate with 2. So it gates your progression through exploring to find these Dark Souls and these canisters. That's a good thing because it lets you explore everywhere. But it's also a bad thing because the amount of Dark Souls that you need, they don't put an overabundance there. So if you need the 9th final key, which happened to me, if you need the 9th key or 8th key or whichever one it was, and you're missing 2, you need 2 more Dark Souls to open that gate. Well, there may only be 3 Dark Souls left in the entire map, and there's like 10, 12 big areas to explore, and you have to comb the entire map looking for 2 Dark Souls using abilities you've used, and until you find those 2 Dark Souls, since there's only 3, you have a 2 and 3 shot of you have to comb the entire map for 2 of those 3 to open the last area to beat the game. I had to look up a map to find it because I could not. It would have took me many more hours to find it. That was the worst part of this game. I didn't like. Everything else about this game was pretty cool. I will say the battling is kind of, you can lock on, you just shoot this like energy blast. You can charge it by holding it, and you shoot enemies and they like disappear. And when you collect Dark Souls, that'll power up your ability, into more strength. You can charge it up to like level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to be more powerful. You get like abilities to walk on fire that open up new areas to find more Dark Souls. You get more abilities to climb ledges on fire. You get like a ability to like swim and swim in like lava, which is cool. A very interesting game. At first, I was playing this game. I didn't know what the heck it wanted me to do because it drops you in with like nothing. It has to do with serial killers. The plot is very, very strange, and you have to kill these 5 serial killers. There's Jack the Ripper's like one of the last ones, and they're like in these like there's like to enter the area where they're at, you have to like take a retractor, a medical retractor that they use to do open heart surgery and crack ribs open, and you have to shove it in these dead bodies and open their like chest, and then you dive into the real world, and you can't really do anything in the real world until you power up enough to use weapons in the real world somehow, and then you fight these serial killers and in the real world, and then when you beat them all, you can like start this machine device and go into the last area. It's very, the atmosphere and the exploring is cool, but it's a little too like, where do I go next kind of thing. So I had to use a guide to find the last souls I needed. I'm not ashamed of that. It was just too much. It's very good though. It's just there is a remaster available on modern consoles made by Night Dive Studio, who did the Quake remasters, and they did the recent Star Wars one, Dark Forces remaster. Then they did the Turok remasters, another 64 game. I did grow up on like that game. Shadowman, I will say give this one a shot, probably on the remake. If it ever comes down to like $5, I think it's worth that, definitely. I'm glad I played it. This was thanks for Tylord for recommending this, because he beat it last year and it piqued my interest. He really liked it, and I kind of like this one too. And I will say, we talked about a lot of treasure games. The Button Mappers did a treasure month, and they talked about treasure games and some of their favorites. And that was kind of cool that they did that. If you want to hear more about treasure games, check out the Button Mappers. And what else? Okay. Oh yeah, this game. This game is so I like Indiana Jones. I haven't seen the latest movie. I played Emperor's Tomb last year and liked it. So I thought I'd play Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. This is a 3D puzzle platformer. I hear it's much like Tomb Raider. Developed by LucasArts, put out in Blockbusters, and you could buy it from Blockbuster somehow. This is a Blockbuster rental. It's in bad shape, and it would freeze up on me. I had to clean it multiple times. Very glitchy. The game's very, very glitchy. The game starts out good and gets worse and worse the further I got. By the end, I just wanted it to be over. I played this game for a whole month, and it was so long, so overly stuffed with stuff. Too long for its own good. The puzzles, some of them were very cryptic to figure out. I had to look up a guide. The battle system was not great. It's kind of just shoot. You can lock on and shoot, or the punching looks so weird. Some of it was cool. I did have enjoyment out of it, like swinging from the whip, climbing ledges, pushing blocks for block puzzles. Very much like Tomb Raider. I've never played Tomb Raider, but from what I hear, the soundtrack was non-existent. It had Indiana Jones parts in it where you heard like the theme, but that's about it. It was so sparse. The ending was not great. The last level was, I locked up on me on the last level, and I could not progress because I needed to go up to an area with this like lift, and the lift despawned, so I was stuck, so I had to restart the level of that time. Very frustrating, very glitchy game. It's crashed on me multiple times. I had to figure out how to not make it crash. I had to figure out you had to rise up and not hit your heads here because it would crash. You can save anywhere, and I advise you do that because it could crash on you at a lot of points in this game. I don't know if it was my cartridge or the game is so buggy, but it's just so long. If it was half as long, I think I'd like it more. Some of the bosses were like, they're so some of the stuff you had to do to beat the bosses was weird. There's this big snake you fight, and you had to run up an elevator and run over a certain square on the top of this ledge to let this spike come up to hit this snake, and you had to time it right to hit him. I had to look up how to do that. Good points to it, but it's mostly overall not great. Play Emperor's Tomb instead. That's what I can say. Emperor's Tomb is at least fun combat in Emperor's Tomb. This one, the combat's not fun. The puzzles are infuriating and very glitchy, and no music hardly whatsoever. Graphics are okay. It does use the expansion pack and it looks very clean. I'll give it that, but it's not great. That's Indiana Jones in the Infernal Machine. I didn't say the name. Apparently this game goes for like $80 now. It's not worth that. You can get it on Steam or PC now for cheaper than that. Like $4 probably. Okay, last are handheld games. Game Gear. I wanted to play some Game Gear stuff, so I played Shinobi on Game Gear, or the GG Shinobi. This is a Game Gear Sega developed exclusive Game Gear game. You play as Joe Musashi, but you also, I think you're Joe Musashi, but you also have a Mega Man stage select. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 stages. And when you beat a stage, you get that ninja. You rescue a ninja. And that ninja has special powers. Like one of them can shoot bombs. One of them can walk on water and shoot, and the other can like shoot shurikens. And the other can like do like walk on the ceiling and stuff. Stuff like that. And you use them to go in different paths to get through the levels. So when you start out, you're just going to pick a stage, and you'll see this stuff up here, and I can't get that. Oh, I need this Shinobi that does a grapple hook, and you can go on these hooks and to get extra lives and stuff. And when you figure out, okay, I want to do this to get this Shinobi to go here, then you can put together, okay, I kind of like Mega Man. Like, I want to do this to go to this stage, make this stage easier, do this to go to this stage, get this ninja, then I can do this, I can walk on the water and skip this part, or I can use grappling hooks of my other ninja to go here. And you can switch with them at any time by pushing start and picking them on the screen. Not a long game, 4 stages. The last stage is, much like a lot of Shinobi games, is a very mazy, and it took me a long time to figure out what to do. You have to use all your ninja's abilities, like to walk on water. You have to jump on these water spouts. There's ones where you freeze time and it'll reset the room, so you can, this water's rising up, you have to freeze time with the one Shinobi, and then you can get to the end. There's one grappling hook puzzle you gotta use. There's a double jump ninja that you gotta use to double jump, like in the Shinobis. Very good music, very good graphics. Probably one of the best Game Gear games I've beaten out of the handful or 10 or so I've beaten. Very good. There's a sequel to which I haven't played. I'm kind of holding off on that one. That's the GG Shinobi. It was on the eShop, 3DS eShop for a while. I have not. I don't have that one, and you can't get it anymore. So you'll have to either get the cart or play it as, using other methods, I should say. A good game. I didn't say 2D platformer, jump, shoot, shurikens, and the other ninjas have different abilities. Good music too. Very good music. Next I played The Lucky Dime Caper, starring Donald Duck. This is a Disney 2D platform. You star Donald Duck, very cartoon graphics. You have a hammer that you can swing and hit stuff. You also get a power-up where you just run straight through, I think. People, he gets mad, excuse me. Simple 2D platformer, good graphics, catchy music, not too difficult. Actually, on the back, the guy, there's little codes, so if you want to start with all those lives. Been a while since I played this, and I played a lot of these Disney games, so it kind of blends together. But I remember, I do like this one. You have hit points, it's not one-hit deaths, and yeah, it's pretty good. I think Magica Dispel, yeah, she's in this one too, Magica Dispel, and like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, I think, are in it. So it's pretty decent. I like it. 2D platformer Disney game. Sonic Triple Trouble. My quest to play the other Sonic games continues with Sonic Triple Trouble. This one was okay. Much like other Sonic games, I don't have the desire to replay them right now. This one is pretty good. It has a new character, some kind of wolf. I think his name's Fang. It introduces him, and it's a Sonic game. It's pretty good. It looks good, sounds good. It plays like a Sonic game. Different story if you want that kind of thing on here. It's pretty good. I liked it. The Sonic games kind of run together for me. And I mean, I'm not the biggest Sonic fan, but I can see why people like them. And Triple Trouble is one not a lot of people played, and I think it's decent enough that you can play it. I played the one on... One of them was a port of Sonic 2. It might have been Sonic Pocket on Neo Geo Pocket that I played. It was just like a port almost of Sonic 2. This one's at least different. Oh yeah, this game, next up. Jurassic Park on the Game Gear. This game's pretty good. It's short, it's fun, it's not too challenging, it looks good, sounds good. So you play as Alan Grant, and you have to go to 5 individual stages like Mega Man on the park, and you have to tame the dinosaurs, which basically beat the boss, and you tame them. And if you go through those first 4 stages without using a continue, then you unlock the last stage, the T-Rex stage, which is the big maze-like stage like Shinobi. You go through all these corridors in the control center in the park, and you fight the T-Rex last boss, and then you get the good ending. So how this works is before you go into the stage, you pick a stage, and then you have to run Alan Grant's Jeep, and these dinosaurs are coming at you. You have to shoot them. There's a little crosshair. You shoot the dinosaurs away as they attack you. There's other little dinosaurs coming at you, and you shoot them like a light gun game with the crosshair, and they give you life extensions. You can get 2 of them in those parts to give you 4 hits, and then you can refill your health with little gas cans. I believe it's the gas can. Or no, you get 1-ups by shooting them, and you get a 1-up. And you want to get those gas cans because you can take more hits in the levels. The levels aren't long. You have 3 weapons to choose from. One's a tranquilizer gun. You kill enemies with the tranquilizer gun, and you get items back to heal yourself. It shoots straight ahead. Then you have a arcing weapon like a grenade that shoots. It's very powerful. Shoots like an arc. Good for enemies that dive at you. So there's certain points to use these weapons. And you have a tossing weapon like a flare or something that's pretty good. And you use those levels throughout the stages. Jump, shoot with one. When you collect little coins, you get so many, and you get like a continue. I think it's 8 or 10, something like that. And then you get to the end, you beat a boss, then you pick the next stage, go through the driving section, different dinosaurs come at you, and you do the same thing 4 times. If you continue, then the game ends there, you get an ending. If you don't continue, then you go to the last harder stage, and you fight the T-Rex and get the best ending. Probably the best Jurassic Park game I've played out of the NES and Genesis ones and Super Nintendo ones. This one's actually worth trying out. I don't know how you play it. I don't know if it's available anywhere else. I don't even think it's on that Jurassic Park collection that they put out, which is probably the best one out of those games on there. Next up, we got 3 more after this one, so we got 4 more. Legend of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. I don't know why I looked at Mickey Mouse, but this is another Disney platformer like Donald Duck, Lucky Dime Caper. This one I want to think he did something. He shoots like a marshmallow or something out. It's like something he shoots out to attack with. I don't remember much about it. I remember it being good, not too hard, much like Donald Duck. They kind of run together. It's decent. That's all I can say about it. It's a 2D platformer like the Donald one, only you play as Mickey. I don't think this one. I think the best one out of these I played so far has been that one. Not Castle of Illusion, Land of Illusion on Game Gear. It's more of a Metroid style one that I really like. This one's more of a straight platformer. There he is right there. Woo! Oh, another Disney game. We have Deep Duck Trouble starring Donald Duck. I don't remember anything about this one, even less than the other ones. Pretty good though. I do remember I enjoyed it enough to finish it. Not too difficult. It has some challenge, much like these ones, but nothing to overcome. These all have unlimited continues, I think, so you're pretty good. I think they have unlimited continues. Not sure. But it's good. It's okay. And we got our last Disney game. We got Castle Illusion. This is different from the Genesis version. And I think I might like this one a little bit better than the Genesis one, because I don't remember the Genesis one much. But this is still pretty good. They changed it enough to be pretty different. You go through a handful of levels in a Castle of Illusion, and the boss is different than, I don't think you fight, what's her name? Miserabelle. I think it's somebody else, but different from the Genesis one, and pretty good. Oh, and last but not least, we have Joe and Mac on the Game Boy. This is pretty fun. Hard, short, but after a few playthroughs I was able to beat it once you learn where everything's coming from. You play as a caveman, you go through a level, you have a spinny, if you have a regular jump, you have a high jump, which you hold up and you do a spinny jump. You get weapons, you get a tomahawk, you get a boomerang, you get fire, which is what you want. You get a wheel that rolls on the ground. You gotta take it slow in this game. There's only a few worlds, but they get harder, so you gotta really take it slow and not take much damage, because stuff will hurt you a lot. You gotta know where stuff's coming up, and you gotta plan it, react before it hits you. Sounds like any game, but that's basically what you do. It's pretty good. I think it's, from what I hear, it's a port of the NES version, which I haven't played. So, man, I might play the NES one sometime. Because this is pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. Only a handful of stages. At the end, you rescue a girl, I think. But it's pretty good. I like the Super Nintendo one the best, but this is the second port of the first Joe and Mac I've played. The first Joe and Mac I played is pretty good. And that is it. That's everything I beat for January and February 2024. I will say next month I beat a lot of emulated games, so I don't know how I'm going to do next month's video. So it would just be me talking about the games, I guess. So I just looking, I think I beat like a ton of games emulated, so I don't have anything to hold up. I might still talk about them, but I haven't decided yet. So thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your evening. I hope you are doing well. Thanks again. I appreciate it, and have a great night, day, or evening, or whatever. Bye.